one of them, let me start by going actually back to, or ahead. This is a view from the top of that tower. This is as of about 2 years ago. But a year into our pilot project, these mirrors in the back, we switched all of these to become double heliostats because we realized, why are we just putting one mirror on each frame? Let's put 2 mirrors on a single frame and on a single pylon. Remember, these are each of these pylons is pounded. It's about the size of a parking meter and holds the mirror. So why not put 2 mirrors on each of these? Because you reduce the amount of steel, and it's just not a big deal. So that's what we're doing now in the project that I'm going to show you in a moment. So this is the project that we broke ground on the end of October of last year. And it took us a ridiculous amount of time to actually get permits for this. This is another one of these sort of myths that we all live in this competitive world and we just go out and get a permit. It just doesn't work that way. You would think that a solar energy project, you know, would have a pretty fast permitting process, but in fact it took 3 years. Now, of course, the California Energy Commission and the Bureau of Land Management, everybody in the world has learned their lessons and they promised to give it to us in half that time. But this took us 3 years to get permitted. And of course, our best friends, the environmentalists, who we thought would be with us all the way, ended up having major schisms within the industry, and so we ended up having CBD, the Center for Biological Diversity, fighting us like crazy to this day. NRDC kind of taking a little step back, kind of not wanting to antagonize its friends, but still being supportive. Sierra Club going a little crazy on us. I mean, you know, so why am I telling you this? It just, you know, it's not this sort of wonderful road. It's a very difficult road. So now this is the project. Oops, sorry. This is the project. These are going to each be roughly 130 megawatt sites with three boilers, 3 turbines. Siemens is our turbine manufacturer.
Thank you.
And they're going to be, it's going to be a 400 megawatt project. This 400 megawatt project is going to be part of a 2,600 megawatt set of contracts that we have with PG&E and with Edison. 2,600 megawatts is out of roughly 2.5 gigawatts out of 60 gigawatts in California. Is a very nice little set of contracts that we've been able to achieve. We didn't do it because we had uneconomic prices. We did it because we thought we would be ultimately very competitive. And we did have some boosters, some subsidies at the beginning to get us to that point. But we also have a delivery schedule that we have to meet. And this is what is so interesting, is that the requirements of your customers don't match up with the realities of the permitting system. They don't match up with the realities of the transmission system, which takes forever to build, and you'd think that it would have been the easiest thing in the world to do because we've been doing it for 100 years. But it's turning out transmission is the lagging element in this whole thing. And the reason for that lagging element is because it isn't as efficient, it isn't as competitive as a natural gas pipeline system. So, you know, we love to talk about competition, but there really isn't competition as we'd like it to be in the energy industry. It's, you know, it varies. So, all right, that's a project that we're going to be building. We're roughly halfway into it. I think our delivery date is the end of the middle of 13. We are building double heliostats, not single heliostats. It is located, it's called Ivanpah. It's about 45 minutes west of Las Vegas, inside the California border. It's employing roughly 1,000 union workers as we sit here today. It occupies an area of roughly 5 square miles, and it'll be about this will be the first 400 of 2.6 gigawatts in contracts. These are just more pictures of where we are right now. Bechtel is our contractor. Thank the Lord for Bechtel. It's just been terrific. So that's our company. We have about 100 employees, a little bit more in Oakland, and we have about 200 in Israel. 200 is where we do kind of Israel is where we do R&D and technology engineering. We have the supply chain. This is another kind of little known fact about renewable energy. We're going to be getting 80%, over 80% of our content is going to be American. We're getting our gearboxes, the things that are moving the mirrors up and down and sideways, from a company in Michigan, in Dave Camp's district, a Republican, who fights this all the time. It's going to be coming from Grand Rapids, Michigan. You know, the mirrors that you see here are being made by a company in Arizona, and on and on and on. It's one of the great things about renewable energy. Very capital intensive, and much of that capital can come from the United States, and that's how we've designed our product. So this is us. We are owned by a number of venture capital firms. We are also some of the investors in our company are Chevron. In addition, some French turbine manufacturers. Alstom is an investor in our company, and we've got NRG is going to be the owner of this first project, the Ivanpah project. Edison and PG&E are the purchasers of our output. Bechtel is our contractor, and we feel pretty good. We feel like we've got some great partners, and you can't do this without. You can't build a new capital-intensive energy supply. We're not talking about rooftop solar here. We're talking about major, big projects. A 400 megawatt project, which is the first of a whole bunch of other projects. You can't do that. This project, by the way, is going to be a $2.5 billion project. By the time we finish doing all of our projects, we will have invested $14 or $15 billion. Where do you get that from? Without good partners, good construction partners, good investors, good equity investors, good IPPs, partnerships all over the place. You're building a brand new industry here. And you know, one of the frustrations I have as an American is, you know, everyone's still thinking about sort of little mom and pop rooftop photovoltaics. That's not where this industry is going. Where this industry is going is major projects that will get you economies of scale. It's not for all over, but if we had a transmission system, by the way, that was equal to the task, a truly national transmission system, much more analogous to the natural gas system, you could send this power. You could have huge projects like this in the desert. The southwest part of the United States has got the best solar conditions in the world. It is world class. And you could have projects in the desert, and I'll just tell you one little statistic, and I'm not advocating this, but if you had a site in the southwest desert, the high desert, Like's High Desert, of 100 miles by 100 miles, 1,000 square miles, you could take care of all of the energy needs of the United States. Now, you're never going to do that because, you know, you need energy for the nighttime too, and, you know, you need a whole balance. But we have conditions in the United States that are just superb for solar energy, for large-scale solar energy. We have conditions in the United States that are superb for wind energy. The plain states are the best conditions in the world. So we have homegrown energy in America, and we can create employment in America for this. In fact, This is a picture of what we're doing for Chevron, which is a completely different use than that you probably are not aware of, which is an EOR project, an enhanced oil recovery project that we're doing for Chevron. I don't think you have EOR projects here in the East, but in California, in the Central Valley, there's very deep, gooky oil that needs to be extracted by use of high-pressure steam. So the question is, what's going to get that high-pressure steam going? And we've been using natural gas to heat the water to inject into these deep wells. And what we are doing for Chevron now is using solar instead of oil, solar to create the hot water to inject into these deep wells to extract the oil. So that's another use. Again, this is the beginning of an industry. We're going to find all kinds of ways to use this. That's the mirrors, but we're not even using these mirrors anymore. We're using double mirrors. So this is really a picture of probably our project in Israel. Well, welcome to my world. It's not exactly a libertarian view of the world, and it's not exactly what I like to be dealing with all the time. It's why I retired 2 months ago, because it's a lot to keep up with. There are a lot of things that have to be done in order to get a new industry going. And I'm going to tell you a few of them as we go through this. But, you know, again, I guess my theme is that I wish life was so simple that all I need to do is sort of come up with a new gizmo and everyone buys the gizmo. But there are a lot of entrenched policies that don't yet understand. Sorry, were you going to ask me a question?
I am, and I apologize
it's all right.
for the first one to do this, but this is important to me. You mentioned the Chevron plant, about 325 megawatts.
Oh no, it's not that big.
It's not that. How big is it?
It's the equivalent of about 35 megawatts worth of steam. It's not electric. It's just generating steam.
Okay. The plants that, well, the farms that you're creating, could you compare them to any of the gas or coal-fired plants in the Northeast? Not just in terms of the electric that they can produce or the power, but also, and the construction jobs are probably the same, but the jobs that will continue, the full-time equivalents that will continue in the future. So I think that part's important. Whenever you create a new industry, I think that speaks highly to the sustainability and also the contributions that will be made by any community or government or interest.
Well, it's a great question. And by the way, I encourage any of you to just ask me questions in the middle. I'll just stop. And I apologize for not responding earlier. Well, on the employment, we're going to have roughly 1,000 workers for a roughly 3-year period. Of course, then we're going to move into the next project and the next project. So you could say that we're going to have about 1,000 workers for roughly, let's see, probably about a 5 to 7 year period, something like that. We like union workers, especially the combination of Bechtel with union has turned out so far to be just a great combination. Bechtel knows how to work with unions, and so work rules are very organized, training is everything's very organized. We've been very, very happy about that. How many people afterwards? Probably about 50 people per project, 50, 60 people per project, so there will be 6, 7 projects, so I don't know, do the math, 300, 400 kind of operating people. The economics are really pretty interesting, and it's one of the things that we talk about a lot. This is a very capital-intensive project. We're not getting the fuel from underground. The fuel is in these mirrors. These mirrors have to be made somewhere. One of the issues we're dealing with, it's up on the state agencies. No, it isn't. It's somewhere here. Anyway, a state legislature is that property taxes. Natural gas doesn't pay property taxes. kind of property taxes we have. But in California, we have this thing called Prop 13. I don't know what it is here. We have to pay property taxes based on the improved value. So every one of our mirrors, which is equivalent of fuel, have to pay property taxes. So one of the very first things I have to do as